Hey gang, welcome back to our channel. I'm Paul with Stud Pack, and in our previous video, you saw Jordan and I prime this entire project and spray the ceilings, except for the dining room. Let's go inside and check it out. Come on in, let's check it out. Woo! Man, that looks great, doesn't it? Now it's pretty overcast today. We still have some plastic on the windows. So we have our LED light here, and we're gonna do something you never see on YouTube. I'm gonna hold this right up to the ceiling. And remember gang, there was 8 or 9 patches here. I fell through right here. We had the old vents, the big patch here where we put in the beam, patches over here from the old lights, and where that cabinet was hanging through right here. But look at that, you cannot tell where anything was. It looks like one beautiful ceiling. That came out super. Like I said, Jordan and I love the way it came out. We're definitely going to be back rolling from now on. And look guys, we're not professional painters. We're learning every day, just like a lot of you are. That's the great thing about having a YouTube channel. You left some great comments in the past video. We want to address a couple of them right now. The first thing we want to talk about is the respirator. I had a dual cartridge respirator that was leaking around the edges. You could see that when I took it off at the end of the video. So I really feel like we need to upgrade to a full face respirator. Maybe you have a recommendation, you can let us know. And one of the questions I have about a full face respirator is, when you're painting overhead, are you constantly cleaning the mask? Does it smear the paint? What if you're using an alkyd? Are you using paint thinner? Does that affect the plastic? So let us know below in the comments about a full face respirator, and Jordan and I will certainly upgrade to those. The other comment was on our roller. Yeah, we just use a 9-inch roller. We were trying this. Typically when I try something new, I don't go out and buy all the tools right away. I want to try it, see if I like it. And this worked great, but we will upgrade to an 18 or a 24. But here's another question for you. At the edges, with this one, we stayed about that far away. And honestly, we can't tell any difference right here at the wall. And if you have a wide roller, it's supported on both sides. So then you can't get closer to the wall than that probably. So what do you guys do? Do you brush that or do you leave it? I think that's a good detail to learn about. So what we want to do today, gang, is get this kitchen ready for cabinets, and that involves a little bit more painting. Now you may have noticed we hung a plastic here when we sprayed the primer. These little windows here, just impossible to tape off. And I couldn't have sprayed in here and in here anyway. So we're gonna brush it and roll it. And I was actually up here earlier cleaning, and right here, there's like 8 different colors of paint because nobody's ever been in here and painted that properly. So we're gonna do that today. So we're gonna prime this, brush and roller. The next thing we're gonna paint after that bay window is our beam. We're gonna start putting our finished trim color on it. We're gonna roll it on and brush it out with a brush and get that thing going so it's done. We can hang the ceiling fan, start getting this room finished. By the time that's done, our primer will be dry, and we're gonna get in here in the kitchen and start putting up our finish color on the walls for a couple of reasons. So in this kitchen, and whenever we do a bathroom, we get a lot of comments about how come you don't use green board? Well, it's kind of hard to find here, to tell you the truth, and then I always prime it all anyway, and that seals the drywall from any water. Check this out. See how that water is just running off? And to me, that's really the whole point, is to protect the paper from water. And I feel like that primer coat we put on there is doing that. But now that the primer coat is up, we're ready for our finished color. Now our upper cabinets are gonna have crown around them like we've talked about, but they're not gonna go all the way to the ceiling. And it's gonna be very difficult to put color up here. I don't wanna have to reach over the cabinets and try to cut in right there. So we're actually gonna do that first. We're gonna cut in and roll 2 coats wherever there's an upper cabinet, pretty much all the way around the kitchen. And then wherever there's gonna be a hood or a refrigerator, we're just gonna put 1 coat. And then at the end, we just have to cut in our 2nd coat 1 time instead of cutting in twice to the cabinets and everything else. So that's the plan for today. Why don't we go outside, get that primer strained, and start painting this bay window. All right, as you saw in the time lapse, we got 1 coat of primer in our bay window. That was some pretty tough cutting in on those little narrow 4-inch wide windows. That was a pain, sitting up there painting like that. Got our beam done. 1 coat of trim color on the beam, starting to look great. And then we got 1 coat of the wall color on our walls. And you may notice we stopped right here. So our upper cabinets go from here up, and right here is going to be our beautiful backsplash. I didn't want to put paint there for a couple of reasons. Number 1, adhesion, and number 2, we don't want to give it away, but the type of tile we chose, the gray might show through and affect that, so I didn't want to take a chance, so that's why we stopped right there. Just painted right here, because that's the edge of the cabinets, all the way around, ready for cabinets tomorrow. So we did all the painting in here that we could right now. I think to get ready for tomorrow, which is cabinet day, let's take down that hall door to give us a little more clearance. I already vacuumed right here, and we'll lay out all the cabinets right here, so it'll be easier to hang them in the kitchen. Alrighty gang, it's the next day and today is cabinet day. You saw us yesterday do a little painting. If you come over here, you'll see we already got started this morning, put up some cabinets already. We kind of wanted to get our tools all set and our processes all done before we tackled that difficult side. But on the painting side, we gave all this 1 coat and then 2 coats just at the top. Because once there's crown around here, how would I ever do a perfect cut-in line across the top? Now, will you ever see it? Probably not, but it's the details that make the job, and we wanted that cut-in line to be perfect with 2 coats of paint. We always like to give 2 coats of color, and then you'll see these cabinets up. They are plumb, level, square. The face of these 2 lines up with the face of this one. Same here. We accounted for the window stool with this drawer, so it clears it. We got a 30-inch opening here for our slide-in range, 30-inch opening here for our new hood. It's going to be ducted outside. You still see the old downdraft hole right here that we patched with concrete. Soon to go away. All that worked out great. Remember all the blocking we put in? Our screws work great there and here and at the top of the uppers. And I even put screws in the bottom of these into the studs. Just imagine this drawer was full of heavy pots. And you open it and the momentum, I think, could pull this away from the wall at the bottom. So I got in there and screwed that to the wall also. So this side's all done, ready for our sub top. So maybe you're saying, what's up, Stud Pack? You put in these cabinets and didn't even show us? Well, don't worry, this was the easy stuff. We're gonna show you the hard stuff. So let me show you where we get started. So the first thing we did, we set up our cross-line laser right here on this cabinet and projected a level line on that wall. Lasers have come down a ton in price. If you don't have one, you really should get one. But if you don't have one, you can do this with a spirit level or a water level. But man, I tell you, you'll love it the first time you use a laser level. So we got our line projected on the wall, and we're gonna pull some measurements. 23 7/8 there. And let's go to this end. I'm 24 1/8 there. So that tells me the slab is higher on my right than it is on the left by 1/4 inch. So now that we established that is the high point of our slab, I'm gonna turn the laser off, and we're gonna come over here, and we're gonna measure up 35 inches. Why 35? Our boxes are 34.5 tall. Those cabinets are 34.5 tall. But I'm gonna go 35. Why? I'm accounting for the thickness of the floor. So I'm raising them up 1/2 inch. Our floor is gonna be 1/2 inch thick. Now, do you have to account for the thickness of the floor when you're setting your cabinets? It depends. If it's less than 1/2 inch, I'm not gonna worry about it. The dishwasher's still gonna fit, and the range is still gonna fit. But if I'm 1/2 inch, 3/4, like with hardwood flooring, then I'm gonna start to account for the thickness of the floor and the height of my cabinets, because I don't wanna have any issues with those appliances at all. So 35 inches above the high point in the slab is our beginning reference mark for the height of all the cabinets, all the lower cabinets. Once we have that established, put our laser on a tripod and projected this line all the way around the room. When that was done, I put a mark there at the end of that wall and on both ends of that wall. Now, we don't want to leave our laser running the whole time and knock it over, so we turned it off and connected those lines with the chalk line. Now we have a permanent reference, and our bodies and our tools and our cabinets aren't going to get in the way of the laser beam. It's on the wall just where we want it. So now that we know where the cabinets are going to be this way, well, where are they going to be this way? We have a 36-inch wide refrigerator. We have this 33-inch wide base. 36-inch wide base, 24-inch dishwasher, more cabinets. So I started with the sink base. Sinks should be centered on the window, and that's how we planned this whole thing. So here's our window back here. I just used my framing square to project the center where these two windows are molded together right here on the front. And then I projected it down with my laser, or you could just use a level. So this line with the C's on it, that means the center line. There's a lot of lines going on right here, so that's why I wanted to make sure that line was gonna stand out for me. Let's talk what the rest of all this is about. Now, before we covered all this up with drywall, I always take pictures. I hold my tape measure up so I can reference it, and I know exactly where everything is. So right behind here is my hot water copper. Right behind here is my cold water copper. Now, we have nail plates. That's what these X's are, but I wanna make sure we don't put any screws right here at all. Same applies with the drain and the vent. We put blocking here. So I've got arrows, which green light go, and an X, no screws. So that's gonna really help us when we put this in, and the support for the subtop behind the farm sink. Make sure you stay tuned for that. I think that's gonna be a whole video of how we plumb this thing. Pretty difficult on these farm sinks to get everything perfect. So now that I have my center line for the farm sink, I measured over 18, which is half the width of this. This is a 36-inch wide cabinet. This mark is the edge of my farm sink. This cabinet's 33. I'm building my cabinets to the left. That cabinet ends right there. That is 36.5 from this corner, which is perfect because we have a 36-inch wide cabinet over the fridge. I'll bump it out to the right 1/2 inch with some filter strip we got. So that cabinet will line up perfectly with the end of this one, and our 33-inch wide refrigerator will fit perfectly in there and open and clear the window stool. I already checked it on the right-hand side of the sink. We have a 24-inch dishwasher and two 24-inch cabinets, and they're gonna end here. So we're all good on our layout. So I think what I wanna do now is transfer these 5 holes, the drain, the cold, the hot, and our 2 receptacles to the back of this, and cut all those holes and get this thing ready to install. All right, we have our electrical and our plumbing laid out on the back of here where we need to make the holes. It looks intimidating, but this is how I do it. Remember that center line we talked about right here? I also made a center line on the back of the cabinet, and I pull all my numbers from the center line. Like when I'm measuring for this hot, I measure from the center line to the middle of this one, and I transfer it right here. From the center line to the middle of the cold, and I transfer it right here, all the way through. And now we got to get the top. So we know this is the top of our full height cabinets. This is 12 inches lower. So this line is 12 inches lower. This line represents the top of our farm sink base. So now I simply pulled from this line to the middle of the drain, this line to the middle of my water lines, got those two, and then this line to the top and bottom of all my receptacles. So those are all ready to cut.
It's like a big game of Battleship.
It is. One more thing we have to account for. We got a sink sitting up here with a faucet and a pull down aerator with a hose that goes down with a weight. We have to account for all that stuff. So I'm simply gonna cut a big slot right here. I'm 6 inches off the back to here. And I actually went pretty wide, gang, because I kind of goofed on this receptacle. I wish I put it lower, but it's right near the top. So I need this clear for the cover plate and the plug, but it'll be fine. It's not gonna affect the structural integrity of this at all. So why don't we grab our saw, cut this slot, cut the 5 holes in the back, and see if that thing fits. All right, gang, everything's cut out, ready to fit. And don't worry, we are gonna change these angle stops at the plumbing stage. Just wanted to take them off so we don't have to cut a great big hole for the handle. Let's see if it fits, bud. Look at that.
Woo! Nice job, man.
Nice job, thanks, perfect. All right, we got our farm sink base in, went in beautifully with those 5 penetrations. And honestly, guys, we have it temporarily secured right here with 2 screws. This one's in the stud, this one's in our blocking. And we've put 1 shim in the back to get this plumb. That's all we needed right now. And there's nothing in the front right now. It's just floating, basically hanging on the wall. And we did that because first we want to get these 2 attached together perfectly, and then we'll shim the bottom so it's perfectly plumb and level. Check it out over here what we did. We attached these 2 together and put a 1/2 inch spacer here in the back and made it 1 unit, and then attached the whole thing to the wall. We wanted to do the same thing here, but with those 6 penetrations and the weight of this thing, it was too heavy. So we're gonna do it this way. So now that that one's where it needs to be, we got these retro Jorgensen clamps here, holding that face frame together. I know they make special clamps for face frames, but I have these and they work fine, and I don't need a special set of clamps, unless I did it every day. But they're tight, the face frames are flush, and we're gonna screw these together. We're using these GRK screws. We have a countersink bit in our drill, our impact ready to go. And then right here, you'll notice we used my crowbar like a jack, like you're jacking up your car. And our goal was to get the face frames perfectly flush on the bottom right here. Once we had that established, we put in a block and a shim to hold it. Think of this like a jack, like you're jacking up your car to work underneath. And think of that like a jack stand. If you lose your jack, that's gonna hold it. So now that we're flush here and flush here, we're gonna connect these 2 face frames together. So let's screw those together and remove our clamps. So now that our face frames are connected together, perfectly flush here and on the bottom, we'll take our clamps off. And if you notice up here, this box has to come up to meet our line. So let's take those off and put this box where it goes and secure it to that wall. All right, guys, you saw us get these 2 screws in to hold us up to our line. And we've been fighting this thing for like half an hour to get it perfect because this is going to establish the rest of the run. If this is perfect, it's going to be a little easier over there. Now, I got to tell you, this is a plumbing wall. The framing behind here is jacked up. These were super simple to install. Just a few shims in the back. They were perfect in every dimension. But these, we've got shims in the back. Here, we've got shims here. Under there. It's just a big dance to get this thing just the way you want it. So don't get frustrated, just take the time, and it's gonna pay off later when your granite and your stone goes in perfectly smooth. And speaking of smooth, you might be asking, why do we put the face frames together first, like right here? And that's perfect right there, and this one over here is perfect. If it's not, your eye is gonna see that one of these is sticking out past the other, and then your frames on your doors and drawers don't line up this way. So to me, that's the most critical step, and that's the thing I look at when I go look at other cabinets to see how well they did that little connection right there. So once we had these together and both boxes kind of loosely attached to the walls, we got out our levels, made sure we were on our laser line, and just started tweaking it with shims. When it was perfect, put all the screws in tight, and now it's time to cut these shims off and start on those. All right, gang, we have our 2 base cabinets here. They're both 24 inches wide. They're screwed to the wall. We put the face frames together like we showed you. That's perfectly smooth. I can hardly feel that that's a joint. And then we used a 1/2 inch piece of plywood back here with a screw through all 3 pieces to tie that together. That way the front stays straight. It's not gonna do this and act as a hinge right here. It's all one unit. We have one at the top and one at the bottom. So check these out, gang. We made these outside out of some scrap plywood, and they're exactly 24 inches long. That's the width of our dishwasher. We put 2 pocket holes in each side, but they're only attached with 1. When we got in here, we realized we just need 1 screw. So we have 1 there and 1 there. And like I said, that establishes the width of our dishwasher. Every time we move this cabinet while we adjust it, we never affect this, and we don't have to come back and check it time and time again. When we did these 2, I was having to check this one for 30 inches quite a number of times, but that was easy day. If you wanted to, you can make 30-inch spacers here as well. But almost always for a dishwasher, I do that, and especially if you're hanging cabinets alone, that's a great time saver. So we got these two cabinets screwed to our spacers and got it level in all directions, just like the other ones. Checked it this way, and this way, and you think we were done, right? But we're not. There's one final step we want to do. I'm going to grab my longest Festool track saw guide, and I'm going to use it as a straight edge against the face of these cabinets. We want them to be perfectly in line. But check that out. We have almost a 1/4 inch difference right here. So this cabinet needs to come out a 1/4 of an inch, and so does this one. The reason that's got to be straight is because our stone is going to be straight. By the nature of the product, it's stone, and they're going to make a straight edge. We want our reveals for our doors and our drawers against that stone to be straight too. It's just going to take a couple minutes to dial in that final detail. We're going to loosen these screws, put in some 1/4 inch spacers, and push all this out and check it again. All right, gang, that was real simple. We just loosened the screws, pulled these out a 1/4 inch, put some shims back there. It was perfect. So I saved the drops for my shims for things just like that. And check this out. Oh, we're perfectly in line. All the way across the face.
Cool, dude.
Yep.
What's next?
Let's do these uppers, man.
Let's do it.
I'm tired of doing base cabinets. Let's put some uppers up. All right, guys, these uppers are up. Let me walk you through what we did. So we started by putting our ledger strip 19 inches above this cabinet. From the top of the ledger to here is 19 inches. By the time we add our subtop and our stone, we're gonna have 18 inches clear between the top of the stone and here. The ledger strip is just screwed to a couple of the studs. We built this as one piece. Put our 3 screws in through the face frame. We used 3 here because we had a little bit of a difficulty here. We want to get that perfect, and it is. 3 screws hold it together. Put our 1/2 inch spacers back here. Then we drilled the hole for our under cabinet lighting wire. Came out perfect, right where I want it, right there. And we lifted the whole thing on top of the ledger strip, screwed it to the blocking we put in way back during the framing. Made sure it was plumb, it was perfect. It's got 6 screws holding it to the wall, so this side's done. Now we're gonna come over here and put up this guy above the refrigerator and this narrow cabinet right here, and that'll be it for cabinets. Sound better?
Yep. Okay, now the left side needs to come up. Too much. Good.
All right, it fits just like we planned. We just wanted to put that in there because that's where it belongs. We wanted to put it in its home, make sure the doors cleared everything, just like we planned. I love it. So that's just a few tips and tricks about how we hang cabinets here at StudPack. We know everybody does it different. If you got some tips and tricks for us and everybody else, drop them below in the comments, ask a question, get that like button on a ledger board, make sure it's level, smash it for us, subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you on the next one.